Okay, so yesterday we are trying to uh, configure NFS, network file sharing. Implementing NFS protocol. So basically what do we do is we configure one as NFS server. Okay, we configure the other as NFS client. Right, from here we create a directory /a, and here we create a directory /b, and now /a will mount to /b, right? Mount or attach. Mounting is nothing but attaching a file system to the client. So we can have one server and we can have multiple clients. So this /a can be attached to /b/c from different machines, right? For example, NFS client 1 is there. The same way, let us say I have another machine which is NFS client 2, right? And here also we have, yes, at root level. I mean, it can be any directory, doesn't matter, right? So NFS client 3. So these are the different machines, right? So I have 3 machines and I have created 3 directories, and let us say I want to update some software. So I just copy my software here, chef.rpm. So automatically this chef.rpm will also be available in /b on NFS client 1, /b on NFS client 2, /b on NFS client 3, right? So that is what is attaching. So basically we are sharing a directory called /a with different machines. So what is the use? Let us say you have 100 machines in your data center and you don't want to copy the file to all the machines. So it is enough if you copy this file to one server, and that is equal to copying it to all the machines, because this directory is shared across all the NFS clients, and whatever we copy to here, this will be also available on /b from NFS client 1, 2 and 3, right? So how do we share? So there are some steps. First is NFS server configuration. So identify one machine as NFS server, right? Network file sharing server. Then on that machine, we need to export the directory, in the sense share the directory. So create a directory and share it. So how do we share it? So first create a directory, let us say /a, and then we need to update a file called etc export fs, right? So here we give options like share directory /a, and you can specify like read only or read or write, right? And to all the machines. We can also restrict the machines, but let us say I want to give it to everyone. So I want to do read only access. We'll see what is read only later. Now I created a directory, then I have to restart. Okay, before that there is another step. What is that? We need to install some packages. What are the packages? NFS packages. So what is the command to install the package on CentOS?
RPM.
Yeah, that is for single package. Let us say I have multiple packages.
IM package, IM install.
Yum install NFS, right? So this will install all the packages related to NFS, or you can give star also. So it will give all the packages which will start with NFS. If it is Ubuntu,
Apt install.
apt-get install NFS. So this will install all the packages on Ubuntu machine. So this is to configure a server, right? So I've installed NFS packages. So after installing the packages, we get the packages. Now we need to also start the service, right? Service in the sense process. So when we install the packages, we get the packages onto the machine, but we also need to start the process or service. So that is when we do something it will show the shared directories. So done, that's all. These are the 2 steps which we need to perform on the server. Right now the directory is shared from the server. So from the client, what we need to do? Right, so on the client, it's not export FS, sorry, it's exports. Exports. Okay, so on the client, what we need to do is, so we have to attach the file system, attach the directory from the server. So mount is the command. Then it is the server IP. Server IP are the host name, right? So let us say server IP colon the directory which is shared on the server. What is the directory? /a. And where do you want to mount it? So let us say I create a directory called B, mkdir/b, and then I attach this to my machine using mount IP address of the server, the directory which is shared, and where the directory has to be shared. So /a is shared to /b. Now whatever is available in /a will also available in /b. Is this clear? This is the server configuration. This is the client configuration. On server we share the directory. On client we exported it, we mounted. What is the use? Use is if you have 100 machines files on the server, right? So if you want to do this locally, you need to have 2 machines, one as server, the other as the client. So how do you get server IP address? What is the command to get the IP address?
ifconfig-a.
So just type ifconfig-a on the Linux machine, you'll get the IP address. That is the server IP address. Then go to the client and execute the mount command. That's all. Let us see. So I'll take 2 machines. Okay, one Ubuntu machine, one CentOS machine. See, there is also one command that will change the prompt. Okay, so how to do that? Let us say I have few machines. I don't want to, I want to know which is server, which is client, right? So this way there is some prompt. This is called prompt, right? I want to change this. So export ps1 is equal to nfs server. Prompt will change like this. So you can give anything. Whatever you give, it will change, right? So nfs server, it will change. So this is my server. Now I'll go here. No, it's not permanent, it's temporary. So once you close this, it will, again you need to export. We can also make it permanent, but for now, let us say we'll just do this nfs client. So this is my nfs client, right? This is client, this is server. So how do you get the IP on the server? ifconfig-a. This is my IP. Okay, so I'll replace this. So I'll replace this with my IP address of the server. Okay, now on the server, I said we need to install the packages. So yum install nfs star. Okay, so these are all the packages which are already installed, so I don't have to install again, right? So if you do it for the first time, it will install a lot of packages, nfs related packages. Okay, now next thing is I need to start the service. Service nfs start. You can check whether it is really started using the status. It shows active, means the service is started, right? So we install the packages, we started the service. Now what is the next step? I need to create a directory, mkdir/a. Okay, already exists. So I'll create a directory /abcd. Okay, so abcd is created. Now I want to mount this to, let us say one more directory. I'll create mkdir def something. So I created a directory. So what is there in the directory? Nothing is there now, as of now, right? If I just type mount also, we can see if there is anything mounted. Here nothing is mounted. These are all the local file systems. There is nothing mounted from remote, right? So what do we do is, so till now we have repeated these steps. What is this? We installed the packages, we started the service, we created a directory. What is the next step? I need to add this to etc exports. So I'll go to server and I'll open etc exports, right? So here we can add the directory name. What is the directory? A, B, C, D, and you can give something like read-only access. Okay, and let us say I want to give it to everyone, star. We can give a lot of other options. So for now, I'll just concentrate on just sharing a read-only file system. So I'll just save it. Okay, now I'll just say export fs, enter. Sorry, export fs -a. So if I do export fs, it says /abc is shared to everyone. Okay, so we can actually give a lot of other options like read only, sync and all, but for now let us just try to share a simple directory, right? So export fs command will show the shared directories. So I just added this here. I created a directory abcd and I added to export fs file, right, this way, and just type export fs after adding, it will show the shared directories. Now come to the client, right? So let us say I know the IP address of the machine server, but I don't know which is the directory shared, right? So that also we can find out using show mount -e command. So it will show abcd is shared for everyone, right? Let us say you know the server IP in the organization, but you don't know what are the directories shared from the server. You can still find out using show mount command. Okay, so fine. So abcd is shared. Now I created a directory def. I want to mount it. So what is the IP address of the server? This thing. So just paste this. abcd is the one which is shared. Now defs. So it is mounted. Now if I go to, let us say defs, there is nothing because there is nothing in abcd. Now I'll go to server and in abcd I'll just touch file 1, file 2, file 3. There are 3 files. Here there is nothing. If I do ls, see automatically 3 files are created, right? So let us say I'll write something to this file, hello world 1, 2, 3, save. File 2. Now if I open file 2, same thing is written. So the content, the files here and the content, the files here are same because these are nothing but shared. These files are shared. This directory is shared. What is the present directory? abcd. What is the present directory? defs. Right? Is this clear? So let us say I try to remove something. It says read only file system because from the server the server files you cannot remove from the client because we have mounted as read only. If you mount as read only, we cannot remove the files because the option we have given is RO. RO indicates it is read only, right? See, this is RO, or we can give read write also. That time people can remove it. So it's like, see, you are administrator and you have configured the NFS server and you say like this is a directory shared, everybody can attach it to their local machines and work on it, and whatever you want to share it to others, you can copy it, right? So people can copy using SCP or FTP, but they cannot remove, they cannot write directly into that shared directory. Because for example, if someone does rm-rf on the server from the client, all the directories will be removed from everyone's machines, right? So to avoid that, what we do is we just do read only so that people can copy the files from the shared directory, but they cannot write anything to the shared directory. It says permission denied. So we share a directory from server, we attach it to all the clients, and we share a file from the server. So that file will be available to all the clients. That is nothing but NFS directory. It's not export, exports, yes, /etc/exports. Can you install the NFS utils? apt-get install NFS utils or yum install NFS star. Okay. So this is about NFS. So simply we can share a directory from one machine and we can attach it to different machines. So mount is the command to attach. Now I don't want this is permanent because we have added to etc export fs, which is like on the server. This will be shared. In the same way, if you want to make it permanent, there is a file where you can add what is that, mnt tab or fs tab. Yeah, this is the file. So here in fs tab, if you add it, this will be permanent. Otherwise it is temporary. Now if you don't add it, it will simply when you reboot a machine, this gets removed. We attached a file system using mount. You can see the output here. This is like mounted from this directory, this machine. Now let us say I want to detach it. I'm done with my this thing and I want to detach it. If you say mount, it shows. Now how do I detach it? The command is umount/defs. This is called mount point on the client. If you umount, now if you go to defs, there will not be anything because that shared directory is detached. So mount is to attach, umount is to detach. So this is the mount command, this is the umount command, right? And so this is temporary. So if you reboot the machine, this mount points will go off. But you want to make it permanent, you just have to add this to etc fs tab. This file will make it. If you add the entry, what happens is when you reboot the machine, that same mount will happen when the machine is getting up, right? When you say reboot, what happens? Machine goes down. So everything, all the process, daemons, services, everything will be stopped, right? When the machine is coming up, again, it will try to start some of the services, some of the process, and it will also try to mount it. So that mount point will be available in etc fs tab. So to make it permanent, we have to add it to etc fs tab. Okay. So let us go to, so we have seen the package management commands. We have seen how to list the process, how to list the process which are running on a machine, ps-ef. Okay. And how to add a package, rpm-ivh on Red Hat, dpkg on the Ubuntu. If you want to take care of the dependencies, yum is the command on RHEL, apt-get is the command on Ubuntu, right? So what is the repository on the what is the, how to change the host name? You mean the prompt? Yeah, the different distributions will have different commands. Just a host name XYZ also will change the command to XYZ, host name to XYZ, but this is temporary. But if you want to change it completely, so again we need to update in etc host name file. So it depends on the distribution. RHEL has one procedure, Ubuntu has different procedure. Okay. Second thing is what are we talking about? Yeah, so repositories. What is the repository location on RHEL? So let us say you want to add Jenkins repository. So there will be some packages. Directly if you install that package, automatically that repository will be added to the machine. So what is that? Where is the directory that will be added? It is etc yum.repos.t. In case of Ubuntu, etc apt sources list is the file where the default repositories will be configured, right? Okay, so how to do a reverse search on command line? Reverse search. Okay, Control R. Okay. How to find out the ports on which one application is running? Let's start. let's start -na diff for particular port, right? How to check the route in which a packet is traversing?
Ping.
Yeah, trace route. To check a packet flow, right? How to check whether a remote machine is alive or not? Ping is to check alive. SSH or Telnet is to log into the machine. What is the tool we use to log into a remote machine from Windows laptop? PuTTY or Git bash, right? Okay, fine. So let us try. So how many of you have installed Vagrant and it's working? Anyone is still facing the issues? Okay, fine. So now what is the error? Can you ping the error? Can you also copy your Vagrant file here? What is the Vagrant file used? This is while installing or while making the VM up? Okay, Vagrant up, right? So can you also just paste your this thing, Vagrant file here? Just to cat Vagrant file. Okay, so basically what is happening while installing Vagrant, we have a, this is, let us say, your hardware, laptop, Windows. Then on top of that, we are installing a hypervisor. Okay, this is my hypervisor. So who is acting as hypervisor here? This is your Windows laptop. This is the hardware. On top of that, OS is there, and then on top of that we have hypervisor. So you're using Xenial Ubuntu 64 as the operating system. Okay, that's fine. What is the version of Vagrant you're using? Vagrant 3. Okay, 1 second. Can you try with this? Copy this to your local machine and try to bring the VM up. Let us see. Okay, so this is the Windows laptop. On top of that, we are installing the hypervisor. On top of that, we are creating the VMs. Right, so let us say these are the VMs. So here one is Ubuntu, the other is CentOS. Right, so who is acting as hypervisor here? How did we virtualize the hardware? So let us say this is your Windows laptop hardware, right? On top of that we have hypervisor installed. So who is acting as hypervisor here? This is nothing but your Oracle VirtualBox, right? So on top of that we are creating the VMs, right? So this might be a CentOS or Ubuntu. Okay, so where is Vagrant coming into picture here, right? So something like if you have a Windows laptop and if you install Oracle VirtualBox, we can directly, without using Vagrant, we can create the VMs, right? How do we create? First we need to create a template for the VM. We need to install the VM using the ISO. We have to download the ISO. That is the installation media. Like how do we install with how we install with CD on a Windows laptop? In the same way, we need to install with the ISO on the VM, right? So again, the installation means we need to select a lot of things like the operating system, the username, the password, and the locations and the directories. How do you want to partition the directories and the language, the time zone, etc., etc. There are a lot of options, and it will install a lot of packages, and let's say it takes 30 minutes of time, right? And again, there will be something like boot disk. You need to select a boot disk, and you need to restart the machine after installation is completed. So there are a lot of process involved with the installation, right? So to avoid that, what do we do is we can simply use Vagrant to download the pre-installed image, right? So there is the image which is present in the cloud, right? So there is an image which is already present in the cloud, and that we can use it to bring the VM up. Let us say this is cloud and there is a pre-installed image. This is maintained by Vagrant. So when you say Vagrant up, so what happens is when you say Vagrant up here from this machine, it actually pulls the image from cloud to the local machine. So whatever the image, let us say Ubuntu or CentOS, that pre-installed image will be downloaded to the laptop, right? And once it is downloaded, it uses Oracle VirtualBox to create a VM. Then it brings up the machine, the VM, with the pre-installed image, right? So we don't have to install, we have a pre-installed image that directly is downloaded, a VM is created, and the VM is up. When we say Vagrant up, so internally it is reading Vagrant file. Where is the Vagrant file? In the current directory. What is given in the Vagrant file? We can give the CPU unit, the memory unit, and what is the operating system we need, and also we can share what is the directory we can with the Windows machine. A directory can be shared from the Windows machine to Linux machine, right? And also let us say I want the public network. By default, there will be private network available for the VM. If we want to have public network, we can also do that using a option, right? So in the Vagrant file, we mention all these things and we say Vagrant up. So it is actually going to the Vagrant cloud, downloading the pre-installed image, bringing up with the help of Oracle VirtualBox. So that way we have a VM ready, right? So either it can be Ubuntu or it can be CentOS or Red Hat or whatever. So this is a typically Vagrant file. When you say Vagrant init, a Vagrant file is created, but that has a lot of things which are commented. So they are not required. So these are the primary things which are required, right? So here VM define, this is the host name of the VM. When you say VM define, a VM will be created with this name, and the operating system is Ubuntu Trusty 64. So Ubuntu some version. Ubuntu Xenial 64 is the 16.04, right? So in the same way, I think Trusty is some other version, 14.04 or something, right? So you can also search your images by going to this site, Vagrant Cloud. Yes, it requires image because you are downloading the image from here, right? So you can search for the boxes here. Ubuntu Trusty 64, official, uploaded by Ubuntu itself, or Ubuntu Xenial 64, or if you want some Puppet installed machine, or a lot of these things. Let us say you want to have Jenkins. So Jenkins installed image will also be available. Okay, so these are the images, and there is also another site which is HashiCorp. Just a second. Either Vagrant Cloud or HashiCorp Vagrant boxes. No, this is the only file. You just need to remove that whatever the file you have and create this file. Okay. Yeah, hashicorp.com. So anybody can upload the images to this site. Let us say there is a popular guy who uploads the images, and his username is this thing, and you can directly select this as well. So just select this, and this is the file. How to Vagrant file. Just copy this into your machine, and when you say Vagrant up, this particular image will be downloaded. So this is something like all the repositories and all are pre-configured. Okay, we can directly use this. Let us say CentOS. So this also we can use it, CentOS 7. Okay, so this is the Vagrant file. Just copy this and say Vagrant up, it will download. Okay, so now this is how we download a image and bring it up using Vagrant up. It downloads that particular image and the VM is up. Then we log into the VM using Vagrant SSH. Right now, once you log in, either we log in as Ubuntu user for the Ubuntu machines, right? For CentOS, the default user will be Vagrant. Now, if you want to log in as root, sudo su -. This will change the login to root. So you have all the permissions, right? Once you have once you have the root access, now we can install the packages, try NFS, configure in the server and all that stuff, right? So you want to create multiple servers. Let us say you want to create 2 servers. So how do we create? So one way is just create a directory, Vagrant 1, Vagrant 2, right? And then go to Vagrant first, then create a file, Vagrant file. Then add the information whatever you want. Then after it is, then say Vagrant up, right? And the next go to the other directory, Vagrant 2, and again create the Vagrant file. Then say Vagrant up, right? So you have 2 VMs ready now. So you have to go to Vagrant 1 and go to Vagrant SSH once it is ready. Then the same way, open 2 terminals and go to Vagrant 2 and say Vagrant SSH. Now you have 2 machines ready. Or we can also create multiple Vagrant VMs using the single Vagrant file. Here we mention VM1 the properties, VM2 the properties. Then when we say Vagrant up, it creates 2 VMs. Okay. That also we can do multiple VMs, 3 or 4 VMs also we can create using the single Vagrant file. It creates VMs one by one. Okay, so the basic one, and we can define the memory as well, vb.memory. So this is like 1 GB RAM. If you want 1 GB RAM, by default it will be 512. If you want to increase, we can give vb.memory is equal to something. So that will actually assign that particular memory. And also CPU also we can give number of CPUs you want. So this is for the multiple VMs. So this will create 3 VMs. One is CentOS, The other is also CentOS. Okay, we can give different VMs here. Let us say Ubuntu. If you give, it will create one as CentOS machine, other as Ubuntu machine, other as Red Hat. That way we can give. Okay, so we can also create multiple VMs in a single Vagrant file. So another important thing is like network, how to get the public network on the Vagrant machine, right? So let us say you have this is your Windows laptop and this is your hypervisor and there is a VM, right? So if you want to connect to the outside world and download something, we should have the public network. So by default, there is a interface attached to the VM that is called NAT, Network Address Translation. So that is like a private IP. So by default, when you create a Vagrant machine, and if you just say ifconfig, there will be one adapter with one IP. That IP is private IP. Okay, so that we can communicate with between the VMs. If you have two VMs, they can communicate between each other. But if you want to have public IP, we need to actually, let us say there is a wireless adapter created for this Windows laptop. So we need to create a bridge between this and the logical adapter on the VM, right? So basically we need to tell the VM like if you want to communicate, go through this. This is the wireless adapter. So this is called public network, right? So this is called bridged adapter. And when you say something, when you say something like wget some link or rpm-ivh and http some link, if you give, this has to go through the net through the bridged adapter. So every laptop will have a bridged adapter. How to find out your bridged adapter? So basically, once you install a Oracle VM VirtualBox and you have a lot of VMs, right? So you have a basic VM ready. Now you can go to network settings and check what is your bridged adapter. Let us say I go to this VM and open settings, and there is something called network. And here there is NAT by default, and there is something called bridged adapter. So this you have to give in the Vagrant file so that it will create another interface with the public network. So every laptop will have its own Wi-Fi adapter. So this we have to select and give in the Vagrant file, something like this. So this is common. Ubuntu Trust 64 we are selecting. VM name is VM. Network name is public network. Bridge is this thing. So this is the name which we need to get from the Oracle VM VirtualBox. Or there is also another way. On the Windows machine, you can directly execute a command that will give the adapter name, right? So what is that? Go to this directory, C program files Oracle VirtualBox and execute vbox manage.exe list bridged interfaces. It will give the adapter name. This we have to copy or type in the Vagrant file and then say Vagrant up. So it will create a VM with two adapters like this. So we have a VM and it has two adapters. This is the NAT instance, which is private IP. This is the public IP. With this we can access the internet. Is this clear? How do we get the public network on the interface? First, we need to create a Vagrant file. In the Vagrant file, we need to add an entry config.vm.network public network, comma bridge. So this bridge information is different for different laptops, right? This is the wireless adapter for the laptop. Now we need to get this information. There are two ways. One way is open Oracle VirtualBox. Go to select a VM. Okay, then go to network settings. Go to select bridged interface. Okay, so that you have to copy it to your Vagrant file. Second way is there is a command that can be executed to get the bridge name. So any of this you can use, and you have to copy this bridge adapter. So a link will be created between the Vagrant VM and the host machine. Here host is Windows, guest is your Ubuntu VM. So we are creating a bridge between them, that is nothing but bridged adapter. We are creating a bridge of public network using the wireless adapter which is available on the host. So that we do using this way. So this is the file, right? Can you try this? Yes, only for the internet connection. Something is not clear? Okay, fine. We'll do this tomorrow, creating a VM using the public network, and we'll create a Vagrant file. Then we'll bring the VM up with that public network, right? Okay, the VM is up, good. Then try with the public network. Now try with the second file which I have sent. So just a Vagrant SSH, you log into the machine from the same directory. Which is your VM? Ubuntu, right? So I think you can give Ubuntu, Vagrant, try Vagrant. Vagrant is the user ID, password is also Vagrant or Ubuntu. But Vagrant SSH should not ask password. Fine, we'll stop here. Can you try creating a public network with your Vagrant VM? If that doesn't work, we'll see tomorrow. So try this. And every laptop will have different wireless adapter. So that you need to get from your laptop and copy it to here. Okay, fine. We'll try creating this tomorrow. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.